Hey, Saakshar. Saakshar, can you hear me? Hey, Saakshar, good evening. How are you? Maybe the co-host. Yeah, there. Your audio is clear. Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me? Hey, Saakshar. Okay. Because maybe the co-host, I can see the mic going up and down. And I'm able to hear. Can we just now even? Yeah. I've made you the co-host. You should be able to.
Hello.
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, I was able to hear your hello. Sure. Yep. Can you hear me now? Saksha, can you hear me? Oh, cool. I'm going to start admitting people in. Just a heads up. I have included 2 poll questions. So whenever you want me to run them, I'm happy to run them.
Sure, Kaushik, you can do one thing. You can run them anytime in between. I'll stop then and I'll just introduce the poll to them.
Alright, cool. So there's one question which just defines about basics about what is a ransomware. And the
Mhm.
second question is more in the lines of statistics and what would be the expected costs in the ransomware to happen in 5 to 10 years. Those are the two
Yeah,
questions.
so you can introduce them anytime in between.
All right, cool. Just if you could just drop me a message now or something like that on the chat, I'll just do it. Yeah.
Or you can do one thing in my presentation also. The two
Yeah.
polls you have mentioned, I am mentioning them in between. So
Yeah.
whenever
Yeah.
you are seeing in my presentation, you can do
Sure.
that as per your convenience.
Sure. That sounds good. Okay. Cool. I start admitting people now. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Good evening to everybody who's joined in today as a part of AntWak's masterclass. So a quick brief about AntWak is that we are a tech company, and we have been in the industry for quite some time now. We do multiple courses here, including cybersecurity and digital marketing and data engineering. One of the master classes that's going to happen today is going to be on the cybersecurity masterclass, and the topic is going to be about deep dive into ransomware attacks. So our expert today, Mr. Saakshar Duggal. A quick brief about him is that he's a youth coordinator of Center Against Cyberbullying, also known as CACB. He has been working on some cutting edge technologies pertaining to cyberbullying, and in particularly about cybercrime, and he's pretty much prevalent amongst the youth and the teenagers. Also, he's addressed quite a few students and children's aspects of cyberbullying and connected legalities. He's also addressed a session on cybercrime at the APAC region Internet Governance Forum. In addition to that, he's also been a speaker at the thematic workshop entitled Cyber Law, Cybersecurity Law, Internet of Things and Emerging Global Trends, which was held in the month of June 2017 in Geneva, Switzerland. In addition to that, I have had the pleasure to have spoken to him on a couple of occasions. Today, it's an honor and also a privilege to have someone like Saakshar on our platform, and I can't wait to get started. So I would request you to all give him a warm welcome. Saakshar, welcome to AntWak. We can't wait for the session to get started.
Well, thank you, Kaushik. I hope I'm audible.
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. So good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. And first of all, I would like to congratulate everyone for joining in today. I know weekdays are tough. It's hectic, but I'm glad a lot of people are here to learn about the ransomwares that are happening in today's times. So without wasting any time, I'll just start off with my presentation. I hope my screen is clear.
Yep, it is.
Fantastic. Great. Just a second. Yeah. So today, before starting, I'll just discuss on 2 points. So first of all, cybersecurity has 2 aspects. One is the legal aspect and one is the technical aspect. So I'm coming from the legal background. So I'll be discussing about the various legal nuances that take place in the cyberspace concerning ransomware. Second, we will be discussing 3 topics today. First is a brief introduction as to what is ransomware. Second is what are the methodology and what are the techniques that these attackers use while planning a ransomware attack. And the third is that what are the techniques that we can use in order to safeguard ourselves from these ransomware attacks. I feel these 3 topics are interrelated. So rather than discussing each topic separately, I'll discuss them together in between my slides. So let's get started. Now to start with, I'll just share with you some major headlines that took place this previous week and a few months. I think these headlines can be a big eye opener for everyone as to what is actually happening in the world of ransomware today. So the first slide, which says that Kronos suffers ransomware attack. It expects full restoration to take weeks. So Kronos is a company which provides cloud computing services. So their systems were attacked recently. This is around, this is the news of 14 December, yesterday only. US food importer Atlanta admits ransomware attack. The news comes from Daily Swing, a reputed organization in US. The Irish Health Service ransomware attack happened after one staffer opened malware-ridden email. Now, this is interesting. As you can read below, only one co-worker, just the carelessness of one co-worker resulted in this big loss for the company. He being innocent in this case, he just opened that mail and that mail resulted into a big ransomware attack for this company. Virginia State Agency hit with ransomware attack. The news is of 13 December 2021, day before yesterday. Ransomware attacks Shelley school district computers. Now, this is also very interesting. Attacking schools, and this is, I feel this news is a big eye opener. In today's world, we expect that, okay, these ransomware attacks should happen to major big companies or big celebrities. They are more prone to it. Who am I? I'm just a normal person, a common man, or I just have a small shop or a school. But in this case, you can see a district school in the US was attacked by ransomware attackers. So this clearly shows that no one is safe, especially post-COVID times. These ransomware attacks have been massive. Massive is the word. Every day they are increasing day by day. And now one can't say that I will be safe in this scenario because everyone is a prospective target here. Volvo, you must have read about this company, Volvo. They have their cars. So Volvo Cars suffers a ransomware attack, loses precious R&D property. R&D, that is the research and development property. Hundreds of Spar stores forced to shut following a major cyber incident. The Spar is also a company, a store. It's a store in the US which sells groceries. So they were also attacked with a ransomware attack. Olympus. So Olympus is a company, a very famous company. We all know that about. So Olympus suffers a suspected black matter ransomware attack. Colonial Pipelines paid about $5 million ransom one day after Cyberattacks CEO tells Senate. So $5 million is not a small amount. It's not a small amount, irrespective of whether it's a big organization or anyone in the world. Acer, another famous company. So Acer reportedly suffered a Rebel ransomware attack, attracting the highest ransom demand in history of about $50 million US. Just imagine, $50 million US. Now, this was a survey done in the US, which said almost 50% of surveyed companies are not confident they can fend off a ransomware attack. And reading this, I think we all are not surprised because the frequency of these ransomware attacks are increasing, and the sad part is that we are not prepared. Now, this report says that 60% of organizations hit by ransomware as a service attacks in the past 18 months. So 18 months can be included the COVID time. As I said, the COVID time has actually boosted these ransomware attacks. Now we are here in the new cyber world order. Dr. Pawan Duggal, who is the cyber expert, who is a big authority in the cyberspace, he says that we are entering into a new cyber world order post COVID-19. And I think I agree, because post COVID-19, there have been some good parts and the bad parts, both in the cyberspace. Like this, we are having a Zoom meeting. 3 years back, I don't think we could have ever imagined to have this kind of a setup where we could just have these Zoom meetings as a part of our daily lives. But at the same time, the bad part is the ransomware attacks have also risen massively. There's no doubt about that. The definition and meaning of ransomware. Now in this masterclass, my clear aim is to clear all the basics, because I feel there is a lot of misconception and confusion in any layman's, any layman's understanding of what is ransomware. So I'll just clear that out. So meaning of ransomware, it's a form of malware. I'll definitely explain what is a malware, but for now you can just understand that it is a subpart of a malware. So it is a form of malware. This malware encrypts the files on a device, After encryption, it asks for ransom, which is the basic meaning of it. Now comes what is a malware. Malware is a software designed with the purpose of causing damage to, disrupting, or even gaining unauthorized access to a computer system. This is a basic definition of a malware. Now, what is encryption? In simple words, encryption is the process by which readable text is converted into a sort of code so that only authorized persons can read it. The text after encryption is converted into ciphertext, which means a sort of secret code. So this code is actually the binary language of the computer, which is in the digits 0 and 1. You must have seen in a lot of articles, and you must have read in school also, that the computer has a specific language where only 0 and 1, these two numbers are included, and that code is impossible to decipher. So that is meant by encryption. The science of encrypting and decrypting the data is called cryptography. Cryptography is broadly defined as the science of protecting information by transforming into a secure format. So there are two types of encryptions. One is symmetric encryption and one is asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption is a type of cryptography in which a single key is used for encryption and decryption. Asymmetric encryption is a type of cryptography in which one key is used for encryption and another key is used for decrypting the data. So in simple terms, like we have a lock in our houses, there is one key for that. So in terms of symmetric encryption, it is a type of cryptography where a single key is used to open the lock of our data. So you can just imagine in simple words that a lock, it's put on our data, and there is one key which belongs ideally, which the owner has, and through that key we can lock and unlock our data. In asymmetric encryption, unlike the symmetric encryption, we have two keys, one to open the data, one to close the data. So there are two keys. Only the basic difference is that in symmetric encryption, there is only one key for opening and locking. In asymmetric encryption, there is one key for encrypting the data and another key is for decrypting the data. Now, symmetric cryptography is faster and utilizes few resources as compared to asymmetric cryptography. These are some of the advantages and some of the nuances of these two types of cryptographies. However, for ransomware attackers, asymmetric cryptography is better suited since they can arm twist the victims into paying their desired ransom to release the data. Well, definitely, because there are two keys, as I said, in asymmetric encryption, there are two keys. One is for encrypting the data and one is for decrypting the data. In simple words, one key is for unlocking the lock and one key is to lock the data. So in this case, it becomes easy for the ransomware attackers because they can easily manipulate the encryption key and they can ask ransom for the same. Now, ransomware attacks, all you need to know. So before coming to this, I'll just share a very funny example with you. Has anyone seen the movie Dhoom 2? If yes, please write yes in the chat box. I'm sure many must have seen it. It was a very famous movie. So in Dhoom 2, the basic crux, what is the basic crux of that movie? The basic crux is that the thief, which is Hrithik Roshan, he was 2 steps ahead of the police. First is that, and second, he was always prepared, and due to the carelessness of the cops, he was able to manage all the robberies he used to do it in the movie. The same goes in this world also. The ransomware attackers are definitely 2 steps ahead. That's why they're able to hack and they are able to do these ransomware attacks in different spaces altogether, whether it's an organization, whether it's a person, whether it's a big company or school or anything. Now, this is not in our hands, but I feel the second part where we are getting careless and That is where the ransomware attackers take advantage of that. And because of these things only, they are able to do all these ransomware attacks. So I feel I shared this funny example because I feel that these funny examples are the examples which actually help someone to clear the concepts. Now, I'm sure you will never forget with this example, you will never forget about what is the basic thing that actually happens in these ransomware attacks. Number one, definitely there's 2 steps ahead, but you can't control that. The second point you can control, and that is to maintain all the precautions, to have a proper protection plan against these ransomware attacks. So coming back to the presentation, the ransomware attacks, all you need to know. So how does a ransomware attack occur? Ransomware normally uses an asymmetric encryption. This means that there are 2 keys, as I mentioned. One is used for encrypting the data. The other key is used for decrypting the data. Victim is given decryption/private key after paying the ransom. So once the ransom is paid, the decryption key is given to the victim so that he can access his or her data. After establishing itself in the system, the ransomware encrypts the valuable data in the affected system. Oftentimes, victims are in a dilemma because if the ransom demands are not met within a specified time limit, the data may be lost forever. Modern attackers encrypt the encrypting key itself. These days, attackers use a complicated hybrid of symmetric and asymmetric encryption. So basically, the attackers have also advanced in their techniques. They also know that slowly and gradually, if they want to be ahead in the game, so they have to use different tactics altogether to actually attack different systems in the world. So that's why they use this complicated hybrid of symmetric and asymmetric encryption. This results in them reaping the advantages of both types of encryption techniques. Now, this, as you can see, is a brief of what actually happens in a ransomware attack. As you can read here, there are 7 points. So number 1 is introduction of the malware into the system. So this can be introduced with a lot of different ways. We will be discussing that in my further presentation. Second is establishing a line of communication between the victim and the attacker. Third is execution of the attack. So for example, if there is a spam mail containing a malware virus, then definitely if one person clicks on that, as we saw in the previous example, where a person just clicked on that mail and the whole organization had to bear a huge loss. So in that case, the ransomware actually enters the system. So here's the third point, which says execution of the attack. Fourth is demanding the ransom from victim, payment of the ransom, removal of the malware, restoration of the infected system. Well, definitely this happens, but I feel this is an ideal situation where if the victim is paying the ransom money to the cyber criminal, and then he's once the payment is done, he's removing the malware. I feel that it is quite idealistic, and these kind of things don't work in the practical world. The victim is already scared because on one hand, if he's not paying, then definitely he has this, he's scared about his data as to what will happen, whether his data, it can be lost forever, or whether it can be manipulated or anything. And on the second hand, even if he or she manages to pay the hefty amount of the ransomware, still he has no guarantee as to whether he will get his data back or not. Now, introduction of ransomware into the system. Ransomware can be introduced into a system by the following methods. So basically, these are the 4 methods through which a ransomware generally can enter into your system. First is the malspam. Malspam stands for malicious spam. In simple words, these are spam emails that carry malware. They are delivered in bulk. They contain infected documents or links that redirect users to website that contains exploit skins. So I think this is one category where I think a lot of us are aware of that a lot of ransomware and malware is spread through these kind of spam mails. Second is malvertising. So the term malvertising stands for malicious advertising. This occurs when attackers inject malicious code within digital ads. So as you can see this picture down below, stop signal. I think a lot of us during scrolling through the internet have seen these kind of pictures. Once we click on an unauthorized or maybe an unknown link, the PC, it shows that the PC is infected, your phone starts to vibrate. A lot of things happen, and I think a lot of us can relate to it. So this is the second part of it, which is known as the malvertising. The second part, yeah. The third, okay, so malvertising it is, and these online advertising networks may themselves be legitimate. They may look legitimate, prima facie. That means if you're just seeing the link, you may see that, okay, you may feel that, okay, this is legitimate, I can click on this. However, when the victim clicks on the ad link, his system is infected with ransomware. Now comes spear phishing. Spear phishing is a variant of phishing, which is a hacking technique that involves tricking email recipients into clicking on malware containing links or downloading malware files. Spear phishing uses impersonation to make the phishing emails harder to detect. Spear phishing emails might appear to come from co-workers or friends. So for example, let's say that Rahul, an employee at an IT company, works with someone named Jim. A hacker looking at Rahul's LinkedIn profile can see that he works with Jim. So the hacker possesses as Jim by mimicking Jim's email ID. If Rahul is super busy, he will not notice that an email came from Jim _231@gmail instead of Jim _231@gmail.com. So you see, such minute differences can play a big role. And now I think the major question that would come to anyone's mind is that, okay, I'm not super busy. I can just, if I am Rahul, then I can definitely contact Jim for, I can contact him and I can ask, what is this email about? But these kind of things don't work in the practical world. We take these kind of things for granted, but don't underestimate the cyber criminals. They have done their homework. I'll give you another example. So when someone is actually a thief is planning to rob maybe a person's house, so they definitely do their homework. They actually study like what kind of a lifestyle that this person has and on what times he's out of his house, everything. This is I think many of us know about this. So in that similar case, while we talk about here, the cyber criminals do their homework. They see what is this person's profile, what work does he do, and if he's a super busy guy, then definitely it becomes easier. As mentioned in this example, if Rahul is super busy, he will not, Jin is his very good friend, so he will not call him and ask him. He will just reply to the mail as it is. Last but not the least, social engineering. So social engineering has been revealed to be the most successful way to attack employees of different companies with ransomware. Phishing, smishing, or a combination of these are successful in getting employees to click on a malware link. To counter this, it is important to educate the employees about the potential threat of ransomware and not how to fall victims to these kind of scams. Now, the reasons for easy spread of ransomware. In totality, I think it's the lack of awareness and carelessness which results in the easy spread of ransomware. So in the upcoming slides, you will be getting to know the main reasons as well as what can we do in order to safeguard ourselves from these ransomwares. So malware kits are now easily available on the internet. Creating cross-platform ransomware is really convenient. New techniques of encrypting files are readily available for free. So ransomware as a service. Now, ransomware is kind of a business-based model which allows ransomware developers to lease ransomware tools. In this case, it allows the lessee to use those tools to execute the ransomware attacks. Maybe a person directly is executing those attacks or is actually hiring a third party so that the third party can actually execute these kind of ransomware attacks. Some examples are Revil, Dharma, DarkSide, etc. Now, the targets of ransomware attacks. This is a very interesting topic. Though in today's world, I feel everyone is a target, potential target. But still, while studying these ransomware attacks, I was able to find a few general categories which are actually they top the list when the cyber criminals are looking for potential targets for the ransomware attack. So earlier times in the ransomware, at the time of its introduction, ransomware was used to target individuals. The first ransomware detections date back to 2005 and 2006 in Russia. Originally, it used in Russia, ransomware began, So originally used in Russia, ransomware began gaining huge popularity worldwide. From Russia, they quickly spread to Europe and North America. The first detections of ransomware outside Russia are of 2012 in Europe and North America. Different tactics to spread ransomware were also adopted, with ransomware making its way to Japan shortly afterward. Shifting of targets. Throughout the time, ransomware targeted regular people. However, the full potential was soon realized by cyber criminals. As I said, they are doing their homework. So don't underestimate them. I feel a lot of times we tend to underestimate these cyber criminals, and that's why we actually take a lot of careless steps while dealing with such kind of attacks. Ransomware began to be successfully used against businesses. It halted productivity and data was lost. Now, a few statistics that I would like to share. By the end of 2016, 12.3% detections made by businesses globally were of ransomware. By 2017, 35% of small and medium businesses had been attacked by ransomware. The COVID-19 pandemic has further emboldened the ransomware users. Now, I think Kaushik would like to share a poll. Kaushik, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. So guys, there's a quick question right on your screen. Which of these following best describes how criminals start ransomware attacks? Sort of something that just Saakshar has touched base upon.
Well, I must admit, a lot of people here have a very good idea about the ransomware attacks. I'm happy to see that.
All right, guys, last 10 seconds. That's a brilliant participation. We have more than 60% of participated. Last 8 seconds. All right. Yeah. So I think 70% of you guys have got it right. The answer is both of the above, because as Saakshar also had mentioned, apart from phishing emails, even exploiting vulnerabilities in a system and installing malware also leads to a ransomware attack. And I think 70% of you guys have got it bang on. The answer is both of the above. Thank you, Saakshar. You can proceed further.
Sure. Just a second.
I think Pratham has a question. Can we take it towards the end, or you want to take it now?
Sure, I think I'll take it towards the end, because after explaining everything, I think there will be some sort of clarity.
Pratham, if you can just put the question in the chat, we'll pick it up towards the end of the session. Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible. It's on the statistics page.
Yeah, I'm trying to just change it because I think there is some technical glitch.
Yeah. Do you want to just stop sharing and probably just reshare it again?
I don't know. There's some glitch out there. Kaushik, I would request if you could if I could enter the meeting again, because I think the screen has stopped.
Yep,
So
yep,
if you
yep.
could just shift me to the other room. Yeah. Because there's some glitch. If you could just put me out in the meeting, then I can rejoin back.
Sure. You want to try now? I just stopped your screen sharing to see if that makes a difference.
Just trying. I think there is some glitch, Kaushik.
I think
just
yeah, I tried to. I think the only option for you is to leave the meeting and rejoin back.
actually my screen is frozen. So if you could just send me out of the meeting, I'll join back.
Because if I send you out, Zoom doesn't let me admit you because it considers you to be like a spam that has been removed out of the meeting. And I think your screen share has come back again now.
Actually, there is some problem. I am unable to. I don't know what's the problem is.
Okay, let me try this.
After the poll, my screen is actually it's freezed.
Okay, I'll try to put you in the waiting room now.
Sure.
Okay, I re-admitted you. Saakshar, do you want to try to unmute yourself? Okay, screen's frozen. Yeah, I think your video is paused on the screen. Saakshar, I've just made you a co-host. You want to just try to unmute yourself now? You should be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah, am I audible?
Perfect, loud and clear.
Fantastic. I'm extremely sorry. These, I feel this was a perfect example how we can't rely on technology. After the poll, my screen just stopped, but
Yeah,
nothing to worry. I'll just continue.
This
Just
one
a
poll
second.
we just run towards the end of the session. That should be fine.
Yeah. Great. So, yeah. My screen is visible.
Not yet.
Just a second. How about now?
Yep, it is.
Great. Yeah. So ransomware attacks and payments. Now here we will discuss about the mode of payment as well as what is the actual psychology of the victim and the ransomware attacker. As I said in the beginning that I'll be explaining all these topics in between since everything is interrelated. So here we go. Here comes the mode of payment. Cryptocurrencies are the most common mode of ransom. It makes it difficult to track down criminals. Well, cryptocurrency is the hot topic in the market these days. And I feel everyone is slowly and gradually trying to grasp and learn new things about cryptocurrencies. So the basic thing on which cryptocurrencies work is a blockchain technology. And the major, you can say the major USP of the blockchain technology is that it is a decentralized system. So a decentralized system means that there is no such authority such as a government or any lawful agency which is actually regulating these things. Therefore, cyber criminals actually prefer cryptocurrencies since it's very, very difficult to track these. No money trail is left. Alternative options like iTunes, Amazon gift cards are also accepted at times. Just a second. Yeah. So the mode of payment, no money trail is left. Alternative options like iTunes and Amazon gift cards are also accepted at times. Now comes the legal policy and regulatory issues. I'm extremely sorry I am unable to full screen my PowerPoint. There is some glitch, but I think I will be able to explain all these things like this also. So coming back, the legal policy and regulatory issues. Ransomware as a phenomenon has begun to throw up large number of legal, policy and regulatory issues which require appropriate addressing. This is the take of all the world experts these days about ransomware attacks and their legal nuances. Now let's now examine some of the most important legal, policy and regulatory issues that ransomware as a phenomenon brings forward. Need for broad legal definition on ransomware. One of the most significant legal issues connected with ransomware is how do we legally define the term ransomware? Most of the stakeholders are pretty clear as to what ransomware effectively means. Illegality of ransomware. Another major important legal issue concerning ransomware pertains to its illegality. One of the fundamental questions that comes up for consideration is whether ransomware is legal or not. Now, before going forward, I would like to address one simple question, which I generally hear from a lot of people. A lot of people are like of this opinion that why is data so much important? Data is not something we can create the data again. We can we have different means through which we can create the data. Then why this big hassle about data privacy and data breach? Well, in today's times, data is the new king. I'll give you another example. Amazon, we all know about Amazon. Amazon is now in every space. They just started as an online platform for selling books, but now they are everywhere, whether it's an Amazon Prime or an Amazon for listening music or for shopping or anything. But do you know what is the major USP of Amazon today? How does it have an edge over its competitors? It's because of the data they have. They have the data about what are the preferences of different users. What do they like? What do they don't like? What do they purchase in the months of maybe November, December? Or what do they don't like in the months of May, June? Everything. So data is the new king. And whosoever has more data is actually, at top of the game. That's why it becomes very, very important for these big organizations to save their data. Also, when I talk about individuals like you and me, data is very important because a lot of data is private, such as the medical records, the bank balance statement. All of this comes under the ambit of data. So I'm sure no one wants his or her bank balance to be circulated around or maybe manipulated. So that's why this actually answers your question. That's why data is very, very important in today's time. And that's why we need to protect it as much as possible we can. The international legal frameworks on regulating ransomware. When one looks at the international scenario, one finds that there are no international agreements on ransomware. It's regulation and prevention. And I'm sure with this increasing ransomware attacks, governments and different stakeholders will look into this issue properly. Regulating ransomware at national legislation levels. Given the fact that there are no international agreements on ransomware, different countries have started coming up with their own distinctive legal frameworks to deal with ransomware, which is a good news. Coverage of ransomware as a cybercrime in different cybercrime legislations in different countries. Ransomware is a cybercrime which we often find that countries, rather than coming up with the dedicated legal provisions on ransomware, they seek to cover ransomware within the ambit of their existing cybercrime laws as part of generic cybercrime or computer-related offenses. The relationship between ransomware and cybersecurity breaches. Ransomware is a manifestation of a cybersecurity breach. Hence, there is a direct connection and link between ransomware and cybersecurity breaches. Now, protection against ransomware. This is the last segment of my presentation where I'll be discussing about the different techniques, as I mentioned earlier, as to what are the different techniques and ways through which we can safeguard and protect ourselves from these ransomware attacks. Simple ways by which an organization can prevent itself from being a victim of a ransomware attack are create backups and secure them. Avoiding clicking on suspicious emails. Also, do not click the links embedded in them. Train employees in cybersecurity. Keep software updated regularly to protect against latest vulnerabilities. Limit access to programs that have the risk of being attacked by ransomware. Use secure networks. Keep every employee updated about the latest happenings in the cybersecurity space. Practice safe surfing. Install adequate security software. Well, you must be thinking that, okay, these are very basics. These are such basic points and we know about it. We have heard them or we have read about them, but that's the catch. As humans, it's quite common that we take these basics for granted because these basics sound very basic. These are simple, yet very, very effective. And that's why I think knowing them is not enough. Implementing them and keeping them in mind is actually which actually acts as a game changer. Because if you're just reading them out and you say you are just taking them for granted that, okay, these are just so simple steps, and tell me something complicated. I feel, see, my mantra is simple. I feel instead of getting into all the complex stuff, we should adhere to the basics, because once our basics are clear, then the foundation is clear, no matter what we are doing. So coming back, paying to ransomware attackers. Is it good to pay? Now the big question comes, is it good to pay? What to do? For a victim, I'll just share this saying which we have in Hindi, ek taraf kuan, ek taraf khai. That's what happens, because on one side, the victim's data has been compromised. He has no idea whether he will get the data or not. And the data, as I have told you, it's quite precious. So he's quite scared. And that's why he wants to pay the money. But on the other hand, even if he pays money, there is no guarantee if he will get the data back or not. So implement your security incident response and business continuity plan. And there are serious risks to consider before paying the ransom. Paying a ransom does not guarantee an organization will regain access to the data, as I was mentioning. In fact, some individuals or organizations were never provided with the decryption keys after paying a ransom. Some victims who paid the demand were targeted again by cyber actors. After paying the originally demand ransom, some victims were asked to pay more to get the promised decryption key. Paying could inadvertently encourage these criminals' business model. Well, if you're paying the money, it's a clear indication for the cyber criminal that, okay, this guy has the paying capacity. So for example, if he is just asking you for 5 Bitcoins, and if you're able to pay that 5 Bitcoins, then definitely he knows you have the paying capacity. Chances are that he may ask for 5 more or anything like that. So as I said, there is no guarantee. So the best is, better to be safe than sorry. So in order to do this, I think we have to keep in mind a lot of points while we are dealing with these kind of cyber attacks. In short, no. In long, the reasons are multitude, as I explained. Paying ransom only encourages the ransomware attackers to attack you again. The ransomware attacker may get emboldened and attack other users with less impunity. The decryption key the victim receives may not work. Sometimes this also happens. Files may be corrupted beyond repair. By paying, the victim is funding criminal activity. Well, indirectly, that's true. Will paying free up the data on the device? In short, not necessarily. However, since users are essentially locked out of their devices, they end up paying the ransom. It is for this reason that ransomware is also referred to as a scareware. Now, responding to a ransomware attack, what are the points? What are the things you should keep in mind while you are responding to a ransomware attack? In the event that an organization is a victim of a ransomware attack, it should follow the following steps. Number 1, isolate the infected device. Number 2, stop the spread of ransomware. Number 3, assess the damage that has been caused. Number 4, locate the source. Number 5, try to identify the ransomware. Well, apart from these 5 points, one implied point that I would like to discuss is one should keep calm. I know. Well, I know it's not easy when there is a ransomware attack. When you hear about things, it's a different ball game. But when it happens to you, it's a different ball game altogether. But I feel that keeping cool is the first thing, because if you are not applying your mind, that you will not be able to actually comprehend as to what is the level of damage that has been caused, or what are the things that you can actually do in order to retaliate the ransomware attacker. So reporting the attack to the authorities. Unfortunately, a lot of ransomware attacks have not been reported. I don't know the reason. Maybe they are not aware of who which is the organization which actually deals with these kind of things. But yes, reporting is a must, no matter what. Evaluate the backups in the security system. Implement an awareness and training program. Enable strong spam filters to prevent phishing emails from reaching the end users and authenticate inbound email. Because end users are targets, that is you and me, the employees and individuals should be aware of the threat of ransomware and how it is delivered. So as an example which we were discussing in the earlier part of my slides, that a single employee just clicked on one of the mails and the whole organization had to pay a huge amount of money. So I think awareness can be a major game changer in this aspect. Scan all incoming and outgoing emails to detect threats and filter executable files from reaching end users. Configure firewalls to block access to known malicious IP addresses. Patch operating systems, software, and firmware on devices. Consider using a centralized patch management system. Set antivirus and anti-malware programs to conduct regular scans automatically. Consider disabling remote desktop protocol, which is known as RDP, if it is not being used. Use application whitelisting, which only allows systems to execute programs known and permitted by security policy. Backup data regularly. Well, this I feel is the most important part. I think the most important point that we all should keep in mind, because we generally are quite lazy when we talk about backing up the data. I know it's quite boring. To be very frank, it's boring, I know, but at the end of the day, it's the need of the hour. We have to keep constant backups, especially some offline backups. They are a must, because if you are keeping a backup on your online device, then definitely if tomorrow your device is compromised, then that data, it can also be compromised. So without any doubt, backup data regularly is a must. Verify the integrity of those backups and test the restoration process to ensure it is working. Conduct an annual penetration test and vulnerability assessment. Secure your backups. Ensure backups are not connected permanently to the computers and networks they are backing up. Examples are securing backups in the cloud or physically storing backups offline. So I feel, though I know securing backups in the cloud is quite easy, but still, I would actually request you to go the old school way, which is the physically storing backups offline. It's a tiring job, it's a boring job, but it actually helps you in the long run, because with an offline backup, no ransomware attack can attack that data. Execute operating system environments or specific programs in a virtualized environment. With this, I would also like to add, I feel in every organization, especially, certain workshops should be held in any manner whatsoever, maybe weekly, if not weekly, then at least monthly workshops should be held about cybersecurity awareness, so that even if the employees are aware, there are high chances that these ransomware attacks can be avoided. So this can be done in the form of workshops or calling some guests who can deliver lectures about this. But I feel it should be a norm now, especially post-COVID times, when these ransomware attacks have actually increased at a massive level. Categorize data based on organizational separation of networks and data for different organizational units. What to do if infected with ransomware? So this talks about, okay, all these points are before getting infected. But even if, but still, by any chance, your device is actually a victim of the ransomware attack, then what to do? First of all, isolate the infected computer immediately. Isolate the power of affected devices that have not yet been completely corrupted. Immediately secure backup data or systems by taking them offline. contact law enforcement agencies immediately, as I mentioned before also, that this is very, very important. If available, collect and secure partial portions of the ransomed data that might exist. If possible, change all online account passwords and network passwords after removing the system from the network. Delete registry values and files to stop the program from loading. Now coming to the conclusion. In today's data-driven world, holistic data strategies, both legal and technical, need to be adopted by companies to protect their legal and business interests from these ransomware attacks. Compliances concerning data and cybersecurity are of critical necessity to protect your data, your company, your assets, and your reputations. Well, that's all from my side. I would love to address a few questions.
Yeah, Saakshar, so we have a question here.
Sure.
Which is, when is encryption used as asymmetric or symmetric? Is there any sort of situation based?
Well, as I explained in the definition, the basic difference will actually tell you whether the encryption is an asymmetric or a symmetric encryption. In the case of symmetric encryption, you only have one key, one way to actually open the lock that is there on your data. But in asymmetric, it becomes a bit difficult because there are two keys. And just see, from the beginning of this presentation, I have tried to actually give very, very simple examples so that it can register in someone's mind. So for example, if we are opening a lock of any door, a physical lock. So what is easy? If a single key or two keys, in two keys, definitely you have to try which one is for opening the lock and which one is for closing the lock. So whenever there are two keys, one for opening and encrypting and one for decrypting, then in that case, asymmetric encryption will take place.
All right. I think we have a question here for lawyer. What is the scope of cybersecurity at district court and high court level? I didn't find anyone who was dealing with cybersecurity data protection.
So basically, I'm just repeating. So the person wants to understand the scope in the legal field, right? Well, there's a massive scope. I can give you my example. I'm an advocate in the High Court of Delhi. So see, I feel cybersecurity is one space where, first of all, yes, as I said earlier, there are technical aspects. There are two aspects. I'm not fully technically equipped to answer every question. That's why I am in the legal ambit. So being a lawyer, I feel there are a lot of ambiguities and a lot of opportunities in this space, especially when I feel post all of these ransomware attacks, the government will definitely work on bringing new and adaptable laws. So being a lawyer who is actually updated with all the things that are happening in the space, then definitely there is a bright future for that person.
Thank you. Will shutting down server help the spread of ransomware?
Well, shutting down server, see, if you talk about in the practical world, you will not shut your server every now and then. You will only shut it when actually your ransomware is attacked. And trust me, if shutting down the server would have been the solution, then there would have been no ransomware attacks throughout the world. But we know that ransomware attacks do happen. So this is because it gives you an easy answer that it's not, by turning down your server, it becomes quite easy. I think the cyber criminals have done their homework regarding this. So just to conclude, shutting down the server will not solve your problems.
This is person Pratham in the chat, and I think he's doing a CCNP right now, and they want to get into cybersecurity. What would be your advice?
I'm sorry, if the person can let me know what is CCNP.
It's a certification which is done by Cisco. It's the next certification that you do after CCNA, which just covers majorly networking and not a great deal of stuff in the security side of things.
Well, as I said, I'm not a technical guy. So a person who is actually equipped with all the technical knowledge will be able to actually guide you properly, but I'm only in the legal sphere.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think, Saakshar, that's the end of the session. And thank you so much for coming on AntWak's platform and sharing some valuable knowledge here. Guys,
The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much. There's a quick survey on your screen with respect to today's masterclass. So please do feel free to. And as you can see on the PPT screens, if you have any questions, I think Saakshar has shared his email address, so you guys can sort of reach out to him as well. Apart from that, Dara, the certificate will be sent to you on the email which is used for registration. So just give it about a couple of days and you should be able to see the certificate in notes. Apart from that, once again, a wholehearted thanks to Saakshar, and we look for many more sessions. And yes, guys, the PPT is not going to be shared, but the recording will be live on the AntWak event portal in the next 2 to 3 days. So please feel free to visit the AntWak website. And also, thank you so much for having been present here and also for the participation in the poll. And cannot wait for many more events to come in the future. Thank you for attending. Take care of yourself. Have a good one.